May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing to you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. I did not expect to become a solo parent, but in that brokenness, I met the God who changes everything. Hi everyone, my name is Deborah. Welcome to Solo Parenting in Christ. This is an amazing space where we come together as solo parents and any other parent. We come to discover the greatness of God. We come to discover the provision of God, the love of God, how faith can move mountains. We come to discover how God has been good to us, how God can work in our circumstances. So I am welcoming you to come and subscribe and to like and to share the video that I'm about to minister to you today. So today I want to talk about my testimony. I want to come and share how I became a solo parent and how God found me in the middle of that mess, how his abounding love just surrounded me, how he's been able to provide, how he's been able to teach me, how he's been able to just show me how much he's a good father. And so I want to read from the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 11. And it says, "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death." So all believers are redeemed. We are all redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. That's Jesus. And this transaction removes us from the kingdom of darkness and brings us to the kingdom of life. So how was life like before becoming a solo parent? Life was interesting. When I look at it, sometimes I look at my life before solo parenting and I'm like, there's so much that sometimes you don't know about life, and a child can just come and shake up everything in your life. So I was a filmmaker and I still am a filmmaker. So I studied journalism, and then when I finished studying journalism, I entered into the workforce and I met this incredible lady who became my mentor, and she ended up pushing me into becoming a filmmaker. So while doing filmmaking, I had very good opportunities and I was able to work in some really great organizations. I was able to work in great organization. I was able to do great films, good quality films that paid me. I got a good payment while doing these productions. And so what happened is I became successful while very young. So by the time I was 23 years, I had moved out of my parents' home and I was living on my own. And I was not living even in a bed sitter like the way most people would start their lives. I even remember the people who were like, why can't you just go and look for a bed sitter and live in a bed sitter? But then I realized that I wanted to live. I wanted to live the life that I wanted to live. And so I pushed and I went and I moved into a one-bedroom, 23-year-old girl, pushing life, traveling around, doing her thing, enjoying life, succeeding here and there to my own understanding. And life was great. Life was beautiful. God was good to me. And the funniest thing is that during that time, I wasn't even, seeing that all these things were being done by God. So I worked for I lived alone and I worked for a couple of years, did my thing, did productions, and then I ended up getting a job at a nice NGO. There was this NGO that they were focused on doing films in marginalized areas, and I was there and I was made one of the producers. I was a senior producer while I was working there. So it was a good life. It was a good life, a life of just traveling, a life of enjoyment, a life of helping people as much as you can, a life of just things that I had not thought I would be able to do in my life. I did. And so I continued on like that. The biggest thing is that I remember very well that I knew God was there. I definitely knew that God was there because I have come from a background of a Christian background, and my parents are not just they're not just stalking Christians. They are practicing Christians. They led us to Christ. They taught us the ways of God, and they did all that. But I got to a point where I felt that I am enough. My strength is enough. Like whatever I am doing is enough for me, and I really don't need this Jesus in my life. Like this Jesus is not all that at this point in life. And I felt, why don't I just enjoy my life and work hard and become who I want to become? And so life continued like that. I started going up and up, and in my own understanding, that is how I felt. Like to me, I felt things were going on well. However, inside me, things were not going so well, because one of the things that I would feel many times is I would feel like I'm in the wrong place. So let's say I've gone out to have fun with my friends, with my girlfriends. Many other times that I would go out, have fun with my girlfriends, come back home and pray to God and tell him I'm sorry for what I did today or tonight. I shouldn't have done it, but forgive me, Lord, blah, 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 blah. And then do it again and again. And so it continued that way. Years are passing, time is passing, and I totally reached a point where I had sort of forgotten who God is, and I actually did not have the understanding that it's God who provides everything in this life. As much as I had grown up in a Christian background, as much as I had grown up in a background where we would pray for food, we would thank God for the things that we have been given, I had still not reached the point of understanding that it's actually God who gives us everything. Like everything that we have comes from God. If it's jobs, if it's children, if it's whatever we need in our lives, it's actually God who provides all those things. So I had not reached that understanding, and because of that, I thought in my head that my hard work was the one that was giving me things. Like because I work hard, because I do this and that, then I'm able to get what I have. And so I started getting this pride. And I didn't know I was proud. I started getting this pride. And I wasn't proud in the sense that I'm telling people I'm rich and all that. No, that's not how I was doing it. But I was proud in the eyes of God, in the sense that I was feeling if I don't work, I won't be able to eat. And yes, the Bible has said if you don't work, you should not eat. But what I'm trying to say is I got to a point where I started feeling it's through my strength that things are, and I'm able to get things. It's through my strength. And so I became quite independent. I became quite the independent woman kind of thing, you know, all the independent women, you understand what I'm saying. So I started becoming this really independent woman, this woman who I would just run the world. Let's just say that. Yeah, so I was running the world and everything. And then on the other side of relationships, relationships was just another monster that a woman who is independent sometimes has a problem with, and I'm not saying all women have that problem with relationships, independent women, but I had a problem when it came to relationships. And number one, I was busy. I was always traveling, so I could not pour into a relationship really well. I could not be with someone who I could, I never understood what the other person would want. So that's number one. The other thing is, right now I feel like it's usually God who makes you understand what relationships are, because he also wants that relationship with us. And so I just can't explain. I always feel like when I think about the relationships that I had in my life, I always feel like it's a muddy terrain that I'm walking on. However, I got into this place when I was approaching 30s that I was just tired. I was just, that thing where you're working hard, you're doing so much, but you don't even know who you're doing all this for. You're not doing it for God, you're not doing it for a child, you're not doing it for a husband, you're not doing it, yes, you're helping family and all that, but I just got to this point where I was just like, ugh. And so I was also having a lot of fun at that time, just letting go here and there. And I was able to meet this man at an interesting place. And we just kicked it off. We became friends, da, 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 and then we started kicking it off. And we got into a very short relationship. Like, our relationship was quite short because there was no foundation. There was nothing that we didn't have much in common. And we just got into this relationship because, I mean, sometimes you just find that you're growing up, you're maturing, and you sort of just want a relationship. And to be honest, I didn't even think that relationship could lead to anywhere. But 1 + 1 = 2. I became pregnant, and that was where now the rubber started meeting the road. Because when I became pregnant, a lot of things changed in my life. Many things changed in my life. One of the things that changed in my life is that I had to come to a very fast realization that I'm going to be a single mother, quite fast. So what happened is, I used to go to the clinics. The first month when I used to go to the clinics, my mom was always escorting. Actually, my mom escorted me throughout my clinic days. But now let me talk about the first 3 months. So the first 3 months, I would go to the clinic, and I had this really nice gynecologist. And every time he would ask me, "Where's the father of the child?" I would be like, "He's coming." And true, I would call him and ask him, "Are you coming for the visit?" And he would say, "Yes, I'm coming." But things would happen, and then he would not show up. Day number 1, the next time. And then it got to a point where the child we needed to test the heartbeat of the child. And I remember when I went to the gyna, and my mom was there, and I had told the guy that this is an important day for you. And let me just let you know that at that point, I knew that this guy was not going to marry me, because I did not expect marriage from him. But I was mostly calling him for the fact that I wanted him to just be part of the child's life, like to just experience this moment. And so he said that he's coming, and he did not show up. And I remember even my gynecologist was quite pissed off because he said a man who does not want to come and hear his child's heartbeat has no interest in a child. He was even angry to the point where he said, "Should I write him a letter?" I was like, "No, just leave it." And that day, we used to go, after clinics, we used to go for lunch with my mom or dinner. And this time around, she was like, "I want to tell you something when you go for our dinner. Can we just go and we talk for a bit?" So we went. And my mom sat me down and she told me, "I think you already realized that you're going to be a single mom." And I told her, yes, I have already started having this feeling of I'm going to do this alone. And she said, "I want you to make up your mind very fast that you're going to be a solo mom. You're going to do this alone, but you will not do it alone, because we are going to be with you and God is going to be with you. The other thing that I want you to do is to know that your value has not lowered at any point. Society will tell you that your value has gone down. The society will tell you that you won't get married again. Society will tell you that you can't succeed. The society will tell you that you can't be able to do this and this and that. But I'm here to tell you that your value has doubled, because now you're not just a young girl, you're a mother. You're not just a young girl, you're a teacher, you're a nurturer. You're going to raise a nation. You're going to give birth to a baby who's going to become something in the world that the world did not have." And so she really encouraged me with that and said, "Do not worry, and do not count yourself as someone who has lost, but someone who has gained. And as much as in the eyes of men you have you've become, you're less than women who are married, you might feel that, but in the eyes of God, He has a purpose. And if He allowed that child to come in your womb, then He definitely has a plan for that child." And when she said that, I just I just accepted in my heart, and I was like, you know what, I want to do this on my own. But of course I have my family. Thank God for family. I have God. Let's rock and roll and see how this whole thing will go. So things got really interesting after that, because now I'm no longer calling this man. I'm no longer asking him if he wants to come and do anything for his child. And mind you, I'm still working, I'm still earning, I'm still doing well in life. So I really don't see him as a provider in my life. I just see him like someone who I would give an opportunity to spend time with his child. But I wasn't really seeing him as a provider, because at that point in time I felt even if I'm left, I'm still okay, because I'll be able to provide for my child, I'll be able to do all these things. I still have the mentality of it's me who is doing it, it's my job, it's in my power to do it. I never knew that when God is there, it becomes much easier than when you do it alone. And so, to be honest, after that, I was not worried at all. I was happy. I started planning how I'm going to buy stuff for my child. I started buying things. I started planning for like his coming. I started doing everything. I bought every single thing that my child needed, because God had blessed me to that point where I did not need to worry. And that is the thing that every single parent has a different season. There are people who the child just comes and they don't know what to do. To me, God had given me that. I always feel blessed and favored that I was able to actually buy every single thing that was needed. I was able to eat good food. I was able to rest. I was able to go to work and do all those things. Now, at the same time, I was working and I was fearful, because I feared that I would lose my job. I really feared that. Because the kind of work that I was doing required traveling. It required a lot of. So being a film producer, you move things. Your work is to move things, and so I was required to travel. I was required to go and manage sets. I was required to go and manage productions, and most of the places that I used to go to were like 40 degrees Celsius hot, like hot areas that, oh my God, you always need to wear your hat. You always need to drink a lot of water. Hot areas, Turkana, Wajir, those were the areas that I was traveling to. But I really did not want to act weak. So the first 3 months I actually had to travel. And I remember I didn't even tell my supervisor that I'm pregnant. So I just went and did my thing and worked, and knowing that I'm very pregnant, knowing that the environment is very harsh, knowing that I'm not even supposed to be going to bumpy areas, but I did it because I was in fear. I feared losing my job, because I knew if I lose my job, how am I going to take care of this child on my own? So I really pushed, and I traveled throughout my pregnancy. I traveled throughout until, I think you cannot travel until like month 7 there, or 8, something like that. So I traveled, but the moment I finished the first 3 months, I told my supervisor that I'm pregnant. I was like, I have to tell him, because at some point, it was going to show. So I told him eventually that I'm pregnant, and I wasn't fired. So I thought that once I say I'm pregnant, because my role was very key in traveling and doing, just managing the set, I felt a bit relaxed. But in my heart, I was still not very relaxed, because I still felt like after pregnancy, will they stand me, because I can't be able to travel immediately? Will they have my place in this organization? So that fear was still in me. Stayed on second trimester, and then as Job says in the book of Job chapter 3 verse 25, he says, "For the thing that I greatly feared has come upon me, and what I dreaded has happened to me." I feared not being able to provide for my son. I really feared that. I feared being a single mom without a way to provide for my child. That is one fear that I had, and I thought in my head that this job is the one that will provide for me, will help me provide for my child. I had put my job as my God. Like, if it's not my job, then I don't know how we are going to survive. So I dreaded it. And in around November, December there, 2018, because I was meant to give birth on February 2019, but my child came a little bit earlier in January. So in December 2018, I think it was December or November, something like that, I was heavily pregnant, tired, I was so tired. I was pushing and I was very tired. And I was called in by the bosses. The senior management called me in, and they say that the company is going through financial crisis, and there's some positions that have to be removed, and my position has become redundant. Yeah. So what does that mean? So they told me that they would not renew my contract in 2019, and my contract was expiring, was coming to an end on March 2019. Because I had feared that thing so much, and I had thought about it so much, and I had felt it in my spirit so much, I just accepted. I did not cause drama. I did not cry. I sort of it's something that, you just feel this thing is coming, it's coming. You just feel like it's a storm and it's coming and it's coming. And eventually it came, and they told me that, and they said, but the good thing is we'll be able to cover your insurance because you'll still be part of us. But after that, in short, they were like, after that, you're on your own. Yeah, so that is when the rubber met the road. That is when I think I've said that phrase before, but I'll say it again and again. That is when the rubber met the road, and the rubber totally met the road. So I chose peace at that time. I chose peace. I still wasn't saved. I still did not know Christ, but I chose peace because one thing that I had promised myself is that I'm going to become I'm just going to be a good mother to my child. I'm going to make sure that I'll do the best that I can for my child, and even when my child is in my womb, I will still choose peace. However, things are crazy around me, because I knew that I'm alone, and if I decide to get hysterical or go crazy, I don't have a partner to lean on and tell, I don't have a job, So I just only had my family, and I just chose peace, and I told God, I'm in your hands. Now, during that time, God was so good to me, because my mentor, who mentored me into filmmaking, she gave me a small gig to do, and that also helped because whatever money that I was whatever salary that I was going to get, that at least pushed me a little bit. And I remember I got that gig in December to do it in January. I didn't travel for that gig, but I was managing things, and I'm telling you, I worked on it until the last day. The last day, I went for a meeting, did some work, got home, my water broke, and I went to hospital to give birth. It was that tough. It was I felt like I really did not have room to rest. I did not have room to breathe. I felt like I needed to work and work and work and work and provide for this child. I just did not feel like I could catch a break. So that's what happened. I went and I worked, and around January I started feeling like I'm going to give birth. So I told my mentor, I think I will have to hand over this project to someone else. And that day that I was handing over the project, and then I stayed behind and just worked and worked and worked, and I remember that day I worked so much to the point I felt like my back was breaking. I was just doing so much work and handing over and I left at night. I was feeling this really bad pain, but I did not know it was labor pains because I was the first time mom. I went home. I wanted to really eat pizza that day. I ate pizza and I stood up and my water broke. So yeah, it was I'm just thinking of how much control I wanted to have during that time, and how God just comes and releases that tension of feeling that it's about you and what you're doing. And I'm not saying that working is bad, but I'm saying that we need to cleanse our mentality on what work is, because work is worship. And if I'm working because I'm scared, then I think I'm working from a place of fear. I'm working from a weird place. So yeah, that's how I did it. And gave birth to my lovely son, who is now 6 years, and it was such a good day. It was such a lovely day, the best day of my life. Because when I gave birth to this child, I was like, I'm going to take care of you. You're mine, you know. I'm going to be your mom. I'm going to take care of you. And my parents were there. My siblings were there. They were supportive. I can say that God was so kind to me to give me a very supportive family, very supportive parents. They did not judge me. My dad would tell me that God had written this child's name in heaven. God had written a book about him. God has a great plan for him. But you see, at that time when you're told those things, you just think they're just saying this so that they can make me feel good. But I did not know that it's actually true, that God has a great purpose for my son. He has a great purpose for him. Yeah. And so first 6 weeks, came to my mom's place, chilling, being taken care of, eating like crazy njahe and drinking cocoa every day, growing big and breastfeeding and just enjoying motherhood. And I think day 7, I started getting this fear, because every day I would go to my phone and check the bank app and just see how much money I have. And then I would look at my child and be like, how am I going to buy diapers for you, child? Like, how am I going to do this thing? How am I going to manage to buy diapers, buy food, pay rent, take care of you? Blah, blah, blah. How am I going to do this? How am I going to balance all these things? I got so scared. Remember, I was just seated on my mom's bed, looking at this child and just feeling like I'm overwhelmed here. Like, how do mothers do this? How do single parents do this? And immediately I got this rush in my body. I just felt I needed to repent. I felt I needed to repent. I felt I needed to hand over my life to God. I just felt it. I was just like, I can't do this. I just can't do this. So I told God, you know what? I'm just giving my life to you, my child, my life, and everything else that is involved in my life. I'm giving it all to you. We're going to go on a journey together. I don't know how this is going to be, but you're going to do it for me. And yeah, you're just going to do it for me. And that's the day that I released everything to God. 7 days after I had given birth to my child. When my child was 7 days old, I got so scared to the point where I said, I cannot do this on my own, because I know I will blunder. I know I will mess up. And so I just made a small prayer on my mom's bed. No one knew that I had made that prayer. And I told God, we're going to walk this journey together. And let's do it. Let's just do it. Let's just walk together. And funny thing, there's a friend of my dad who came on that day to come and visit. And he's a pastor. And when he came, my dad called me and he told the guy, I just want you to bless my daughter and bless her son. And immediately this man asked me, where's the father of this child? I told him we are not together. And he said, okay. He said, I'm going to ask you to repent, and I'm going to pray for you and bless you and ask God to give you as much strength as possible to raise this child, because raising a child on your own is not easy. And so we began the journey so he prayed for me, and I began now the journey of being a solo parent, but now in Christ and not out of Christ.